Dino Costa.
Listen, you can't scare me because I'm prepared to go on Craigslist tomorrow with an advertisement to take people's washers and dryers out of their fucking basement, put them in my truck, and dispose of them for $100. And I'm prepared to do that from now until I reset myself back up. I've done it before. I'll do it again.
You got that little sounder?
Yes. Which show on this channel has the loudest vibe and the biggest buzz?
That's a good question.
Dino Costa.
Absolutely.
Has the loudest vibe and the biggest buzz. The loudest vibe and the biggest buzz.
I mean, that's legitimately a good question, and we'll continue to evaluate that.
You gutless cowards. Gutless.
What kind of a world do I have to live on in the radio where I have to contend with these kinds of people as my alleged competition?
Good story in the New York Times today on Lenny Dykstra. And and the mess that he finds himself in.
It really is hard to believe that was 25 years ago.
Really, if you're trying to be funny, it's Albuquerque. It's not Albuquerque. Okay? I mean, oh, jeez. Children, near the phones.
Crush it! Have I not exposed these frauds? Yes. Frauds? Yes.
Nuts, but he's good.
My feet start dancing on the floor.
You gotta give him a blow.
Get the hips into it now. You ready? Get the hips into it now. Here we go, baby. Now,
Absolutely.
you got that little sounder?
Oh, look at you! Look at you! Look at you! Look at you!
This is my show. My show.
Dino Costa.
Oh!
Dino Costa.
It's Monday across North America and around the world, and you're listening to the worldwide Dino Costa radio experience on SiriusXM's Mad Dog Radio.
All right, hour number 4 on this Monday. Good to have Andrew Kaplan back producing after his 10 or so days over in Israel. It's good to have Kaplan back. 888 Mad Dog 6, 888-623-3646. Still, Kaplan, nothing from the NFL?
No, nothing.
Nothing from the New York Giants, the Atlanta Falcons, the Steelers, the Dolphins, nothing.
Nothing.
And I just tweeted Victor Cruz, by the way.
I saw that.
Yeah.
We're waiting.
I told Victor, I said, my producer sent you a voicemail and a text. Come on my show. Let me understand you. We'll see if Victor comes on. Leading you right up to the start of the next hour, and that's when, isn't it the mighty Bill Leckus coming by with Nightcap?
It is.
He's got a 3-hour Nightcap. Because we went on 1 hour earlier today, off 1 hour sooner. So we don't know about the NFL commissioner. We do know about Major League Baseball's commissioner, Bud Selig, because earlier today, here on Mad Dog Radio, I'm led to believe by Kaplan that Chris Russo sat down for an interview discussion live, one of those town hall scenarios. The All-Star game being played in Citi Field tomorrow. By the way, Stevie Torre's son, I don't know if you know this, Kaplan, is out there on the field tonight. He's one of the fly ball shaggers tonight.
Oh, that's great.
For the home run derby contest.
That's good to hear.
How about that?
Quite the experience.
Yeah, he'll never forget that. So anyway, the All-Star game, it's a spectacle now. It's not a ball game. It's just simply a spectacle, and it's been difficult for me to generate enthusiasm for years and years with the All-Star game. But the commissioner of Major League Baseball is Bud Selig. And earlier today, here on SiriusXM's Mad Dog Radio, Bud Selig answered a question from Russo that again validates my contention that Bud Selig is a complete and total liar. Now, I don't know what kind of questions and answers they had, except for this one here that I'm going to play for you in just another second or two. But I will tell you this. I've heard Selig on with Russo before. I don't know what ground Chris may have covered, if any, with Selig today that he's not covered previously. I did not hear any of Mad Dog's show today. But Kaplan did send me this particular cut earlier today. Here is the commissioner answering a question about double headers and Major League Baseball. Listen.
Throw the fans a bone. Why don't we make
Oh, we got to throw them more in the
What-
bowl.
Yeah, we do. Why do we make sure that every team is required to play one regularly scheduled doubleheader a year?
Well,
the old days, Bud, I used to go home mid-70s,
Me
4,
too.
4, 5:35, twilight doubleheader, nothing better than that.
Yeah, me too. I agree with you. In the 40s and 50s and 60s, I did too. But I'm going to say something. I know there was applause here, but I'll tell you, most fans that I've talked to, they don't like doubleheaders.
All right,
they
stop
last
the tape.
too long.
This is a total and complete lie. This is a total and complete lie. Okay, previously on Russo's show, the commissioner pulled something else out of his ass. He said, we've done surveys without indicating what survey, without indicating what company did the survey. Did you ever get a survey on how you feel about doubleheaders, folks? I never have. But Russo said they should play at least one scheduled doubleheader a year. How about they should play at least 6 to 8 scheduled doubleheaders a year? I've often advocated over the years for Sundays to be that day, to start at 12 noon, 1 o'clock, doubleheaders. Every team can have the day off on Monday. Doubleheaders used to be the norm scheduled, but this bullshit that nobody wants doubleheaders, as if you wouldn't want 2 games for the price of 1, that they're too long. But Selig is destroying the integrity of his own sport when he says, well, who wants to be in a ballpark for 5 and 6 hours? I couldn't get so what Selig is saying is that the Major League experience becomes a little bit too much at the ballpark. I don't know about you. I couldn't get enough of the big league experience when I was younger. I would have lived at the park if I could have. So here's Russo saying one scheduled doubleheader when I've said 6 to 8, when that used to be the norm. They used to have doubleheaders on Sundays, twilight doubleheaders on a Wednesday or Thursday night. And here's Selig. Now, he hasn't pulled out the survey thing out of his ass because they've never had a survey on this. But he's lying all the same. The reason, of course, and he gets to it at the end, the transparency comes through. The reason that there are no scheduled doubleheaders is because the owners don't want to give you 2 games for the price of 1. Simple, and that's it. That's it. And listen to the rest of this. Play it.
Most fans that I've talked to, they don't like doubleheaders. They last too long. There's a long game. Yeah. And I really believe, and I understand there are economic reasons too. And that
they want the 2 gates.
Well, in fairness to the clubs, as you have big payrolls, you have other things. But I really think if a twilight doubleheader normally used to start at 5 o'clock.
Right.
And in the old days, you played games in an hour 40, hour 50. You don't do that anymore.
How come?
So you're
Stop the tape. Why don't we play the games anymore at a more faster pace? Why not? I would have stopped Bud Selig right there. I would have said, well, now, hold on, Bud. Wait, you're right. The game used to be played quicker. What are you and your staff doing to expedite these games, to move these games along a little faster? If we could play the games a little faster, would a twilight doubleheader? Listen, forget about 6 or 7 doubleheaders that include 2 or 3 twilight doubleheaders. I'm not talking about that. You want to have 1 twilight doubleheader a year, that's fine. The doubleheader should be reserved, in my opinion, for Sundays. But why are the games taking so long to play? Are you doing anything to speed up the games? I'm sure Russo at some point got into this. I would think he did. But anyway, let's listen to the rest of the answer again. Play it.
12 or 1 o'clock in the morning, or the same thing even on Sunday doubleheaders. So
So now stop
look,
the tape again.
have,
So here's Selig saying that if you play a twilight doubleheader, the chances are that you could play until 12 midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning. This is the same Bud Selig who advocates and presides over a Major League Baseball network that will see franchises have rain delays for 3 hours on a 7 o'clock start time that begin at 10 or 10:15 at night and will play a 9-inning game, provided they don't have any further interruptions throughout that 9-inning game, that'll last till 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. Yet to have a twilight doubleheader that goes to midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning, this is something that he can't say. This is something that he can't give his blessing to, I say. But again, I want to know, did Russo follow up and ask him what they're doing to speed up the pace of the games? Roll the tape.
To play doubleheaders that we will, but I understand the economics, and I understand it. In fairness to the clubs, the same fans want to win. They want their owner digging deep in their pocket. They want
good point. So you're not going to get up the gate.
Then give the owner a chance to pay the bills.
Bud, you're doing a great job. That's a good answer. That was a fair one. All right.
What? Bud, you're doing a great job. Was his grandfather? He's leading through a question and answer. What do you mean he's doing a great job? What does that mean? Who the hell cares if he's doing a great job? Concern yourself, Chris, with you. Are you doing a great job? Are you asking the questions that are on the minds of fans everywhere? You're doing a great job. Have you ever heard anyone, Kaplan, interview somebody on the radio and say, by the way, you're doing a great job?
No, that's a first.
What the hell is this? You're doing a great job. Don't the fans deserve to have 2 games for the price of 1? 5, 6, 7, 8 times a year? Don't the fans deserve that? And the thing that I didn't hear one person, I don't know how many people showed up for this thing, but I didn't hear, by the way, where did they do this? Did they do this down in the Javits Center?
They did.
Okay, I didn't hear one person applaud when Selig said that fans don't want doubleheaders anymore. Did you hear anybody say, yeah, that's right, bud, yeah?
No, I think I heard some boos, actually.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay. You're doing a great job. What does that mean? You're doing a great job. All my years doing talk radio, I've never told the guy on the other end of the line, you're doing a great job. By the way, good answers. That's fair. You're doing a great job. You're doing a great job. Well, whatever. Whatever. Anyway, he's a liar, is what he is. The same way the guy in the NFL is a liar. He's a total and complete liar. He's an empty suit. He's a coward. He's a yellow-bellied scumbag, is what both Roger Goodell and Bud Selig are collectively. Collectively. They're both liars. Selig doesn't give a rat's ass about you, the fan. He can posture and preen all he wants. He doesn't give a rat's ass about you, the fan. Not even close. Not even close. Oh, boy. Did Victor Cruz get back to us yet? Is he on the line? Is he ready to go?
No, he hasn't got back to me.
Yeah. Just amazing. There's got to be some of you in my audience, you got to be up there in age, above the age of 60, 70, maybe 75, 80. You look at this country, you look at the way things are going, you got to shake your head in amazement and say, my goodness, when I was a young man, when I was in my 30s, when I was in my 40s, I never thought I'd see America get to the point we're at right now. And in the NFL, that means we got a runaway NFL. We got an out-of-control NFL with a criminal element that is so easy to see. And the NFL has not addressed this at all, the Victor Cruz situation. Not at all. And as far as the Trayvon Martin, George Zimmerman thing is concerned, earlier on the show, I mentioned that there was a little infant who was in his stroller down near Atlanta. And I'm looking at little Antonio Santiago. Picture of him celebrating his first and his only Christmas, December of last year. And I can still see my babies at this age. And this 13-month-old little baby was intentionally shot in the face and killed while his mother was pushing him in his stroller. And 2 black teens attempted a robbery attempt and shot this baby in the face. And the fact is that such an unthinkable crime will never get the media attention. You'll never see the public outcry that the Trayvon Martin situation has seen over the last 15, 16 months. This thing here just swept under the carpet. Nobody cares. No Jesse, no Al, no Nancy Grace, no MSNBC. No guilty liberal white people. No. Nope. And the black-on-black crime and the 20-some-odd kids who were killed over the 4th of July weekend in Chicago. And nobody wants to mention that because it doesn't do anything for anybody. It doesn't do anything for anybody, you see. But when you have a perceived racial element, this is when people want to get their hands in the cookie jars because they can profit from it. And it can advance their agenda. and it can make them money. If the kid, the 17-year-old who was shot dead by Zimmerman, if his name was Arnie Stapleton, if his name was Howie Mickelstein, if his name was Joe Smith, nobody would care, assuming Joe Smith was white. Nobody would care. But the only thing that has driven interest in this whole thing, the only thing, is the perceived racial parameters that are involved in this, which I find to be, for those who want to rely on this to fuel their anger and their frustration, I find you to be pathetic. I find you to be out and out pathetic. And I will charge that you will look at situations that you can cherry pick, which help to fuel your hostile racial anger. Again, you could give a rat's ass about two black kids offing each other in the last 20 minutes somewhere in Detroit or Chicago or Harlem or East St. Louis or Los Angeles or wherever. But this here, yeah, you got to have your pound of flesh, because you've got a white Hispanic in George Zimmerman, just like you've got a white Hispanic in Aaron Hernandez, whose mother is white. Yet, as I said in hour number 3, I'm caught betwixt and between here, wondering where the similar, if not the same exact outrage is germinating, where a white Hispanic killed a black kid in Florida, and a white Hispanic in Aaron Hernandez killed a black guy and intentionally sought to kill him, by the way. In Aaron Hernandez, and nobody says a thing. Nobody moves a muscle. Nobody pickets. Nobody is chanting, no justice, no peace. Nobody's doing anything. You're so see-through is the thing that I feel so sorry about with you. You're so see-through, and you live in a fantasy world. You have yet to be slapped, I mean in a meaningful way, upside the head by life and raw reality, yet, which allows you to, from the peanut gallery, look at situations like the Zimmerman-Martin scenario in the ways that you do. Because you haven't dealt with cold, harsh reality yet in life. But you see this racially oriented, and you're pathetic. You see this as simply a case of a kid going out for Skittles in the rain. And if you see it like that, again, you're pathetic. You see it as just a guy who got out of his car and he just was going to hunt down Trayvon Martin like a few guys on an expedition out in the bush in Africa looking for a elephant to tag and bring home. And again, if you think like this, you're pathetic. The media is pathetic. We know that. The news media is pathetic. They've been pathetic for some time. George Zimmerman did his job that night as far as I'm concerned. He was simply watching someone, not arresting them, not accosting them, not physically confronting them, not whipping his gun out and telling the guy to get down on the ground. None of that. He was watching out for his community that had been repeatedly burglarized over the last 14 months. He's watching them. Ain't nothing wrong with watching. And a guy says to me, well, what would have happened if it were your son? It's ironic that the guy calls me and asks me about my son, seeing how my son was shot and killed due to senseless, irresponsible, and reckless gun violence. back in January of 2009. By the way, the young man who fired the shots that took the life of my boy at the age of 23 was a man of color. And I think it should be noted, for full disclosure and clarification purposes, that somehow I found it within my heart to forgive the man who killed my boy. I'm back with more of your phone calls right after this. By the way, I got something to say about, somebody said something to me about if it were my 17-year-old son in that community, and I've thought a little bit more about this. I want to tell you what I would do if I happened to be Trayvon Martin's father in such a situation. I'll get to that, and all your calls coming up. How many times, first this, how many times do you have got a place to be at, or you're out on business and all you can think about is the game or the show that you're missing? That's not a problem with the Hopper from Dish. Only with the Hopper from Dish can you watch your favorite shows and your games on your tablet or your smartphone, no matter where you're at. Live sports and shows are meant to be watched live. You should be able to watch the big game or season finale no matter where you're at. Thanks to the Hopper from Dish, you can do just that, because only with the Hopper can you watch all your live and recorded television anywhere. The other guys make you watch your favorite stuff at home. If you're stuck at home for whatever reason, well, you can turn any room into a TV room with the Hopper and a tablet, laptop, or smartphone. The other guys can't do this. Only with the Hopper can you watch all your live and recorded television anywhere. Just call 1-800-WATCH-TV today. Get yourself a Hopper from Dish. That's 1-800-WATCH-TV.
He's America's nighttime sports radio voice of reason. This is the Dino Costa Show, and you're experiencing it right here on SiriusXM's Mad Dog Radio.
Okay, so assuming I lived at this residence, assuming I lived at such a residence, forget about the residence in Sanford, Florida. It was here in Wyoming. I lived at a residence, 14 months, we've been jacked about 8 or 9 times, the community. My son is visiting me. I live in this complex. My son dishes out, let's just say that my son wasn't shot and killed, okay? But I find out afterward, after the police come, that my son threw a beating to a resident of my community, making inquiries about who he was at the complex where I lived, where it had been repeatedly robbed and burglarized. Let me tell you something. The beating that my son gave to the watchman would have paled in comparison to the beating I would have thrown to my 17-year-old dickhead kid. Let me tell you that. How would I have reacted? That's how I would have reacted. My community's been jacked up several times here. Some guy asks you who you are and you go after him physically, I'll kick your ass up and down the street 6 or 7 different times if you're my kid and you act like a punk like that. Forget about the neighborhood watchman. Worry about the daddy watchman in such a scenario. Kidding me? Are you kidding me? You best start parenting your kids the right way. Fred is in D.C. He's on the Dino Costa Show after waiting nearly an hour. Hi, Fred.
Hey, let me start out by saying, first of all, I think you're a complete asshole. And I think you should be fired. Now, let me say this. I just was down on vacation for 10 days. I got to watch the local telecast, and I got to watch CNN. So let me start by saying this. Zimmerman was asked and told by the police department.
I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit.
Okay, hold on. Let me finish because
because you're going to repeat it again and again. I don't care. I wanted him to get out of the car, and I'm glad he got out of the car.
Exactly. Now, Zimmerman, while you making Zimmerman a hero on a national radio show, did you know that Zimmerman had issues with a cop? He had to get counseling and have it purged from his record because he accosted a cop. Do you know that?
No, I don't believe that's accurate. I don't believe he accosted a cop.
Look, listen.
I'm sorry. Can you do me a favor and show me where I can find out where George Zimmerman accosted a cop?
All you got to do is Google it. You're a radio host with a radio show, but you spouting about how great Zimmerman was and how much you love him.
No. I don't love him. I just think he was doing his job, and I'm glad he did his job, and I would have wanted him to do his job exactly as he did his job the night that happened. Yes, and I would have done exactly what he did.
Here's the problem. He made numerous phone calls to the Sanford Police Department making the disparaging remarks about the blacks in that particular community. Now, those tapes are out there. Those 911 tapes are out there for anybody to hear it.
No, you're wrong.
Number 4, no, I'm not.
Yes, you're wrong. You're wrong.
His father is an ex-judge. Now, if his father is an ex-judge, why does Zimmerman have such zeal? Why did he have such zeal and determination to go against law enforcement wishes when he was told, stop?
Here you go again. Continuing to go back to he was. No, get off my show, you creep. Get off my show. Go call somebody else and tell them you think I should be fired, you asshole. Go ahead. Knock yourself out. Knock yourself out. How many times are you going to tell me that he was told not to get out of the car, that he didn't need to get out of the car? How many times are you going to tell me that? How many times do I have to say I have no problem with Zimmerman getting out of the car? How many times do I have to tell you that I would have got out of the car? How many times do I have to tell you that the neighborhood was jacked up repeatedly by burglaries, break-ins, and other kinds of hostile law-breaking acts? How many times I got to tell you that? Huh? How many times? Jackass. Dan is in Houston, Texas, and he's on the Dino Costa Show on this Monday hour 4. Hi, Dan.
Hey, Dino, thanks for saying what needs to be said, my friend.
Well,
Listen,
it's the way I see it anyway.
2 things. 1, I was embarrassed for Chris Russo today with that interview.
Why?
I thought he was gushing like a schoolgirl. He was giving softball questions. I thought the questions from the audience, you could tell they were reading them. I just thought that he could have been a lot tougher on Selig, as far as the whole steroids thing that he did. I wasn't happy with it.
Well, let me say this about it. I mean, if you've listened to Chris and his interviewing style, he's chummy with people. He wants them to come back on the show. He does not seek to be controversial. He does not want to ask very hard questions or follow up with things that, people would like maybe to hear about. So my interviewing style is a completely different style totally than Chris's is. But then again, Chris relies on guests and wants people to come back, and he doesn't want to press too hard. And that's been. I'm sorry.
He comes off as this tough guy all the time, and then he has a chance to give his listeners. I mean, I go out of my way to listen to this station. He had a chance to put that guy on the spot, and he didn't.
Yeah, but he never puts anybody on the spot.
Yeah.
Including himself. Well, of course I do. But Chris is not like that. He does a completely different show than mine. Completely different.
All right. Here's the other thing. I'm gonna surrender to you because I have called you once in the past. I'm a season ticket holder with the Steelers. I have been a Goodell fan. You have finally convinced me. He should be front and center on this crap we're getting from these athletes, tweeting this and tweeting that. including my guy Marquise Pouncey wearing this stupid hat. He's letting the league go to hell because of these, worried all about this lawsuit with these concussions, and the league going to hell. You have convinced me, my friend.
Well, I'm glad you've finally seen the light, because he's an empty suit. He's a coward. He's inconsistent. I have no respect for the man whatsoever, for what he's doing to the game, for what he's done to the game, for the direction he's leading the game, and certainly in this instance here, where the National Football League is screaming for them to make some sort of a statement in lieu of the tweets over the weekend after the Zimmerman trial, and they have done nothing. Nor have their respective teams done anything. Nor have their respective teams issued any statements. It's unconscionable. It's something that is almost, it's too hard to believe. Keith is in Los Angeles, California. Hi, Keith.
Hey, Dino, how you doing today?
Hi, Keith. Hi.
Hey, a couple things. Talking to my friends about this case, and we all have different views on it. The one thing I keep hearing is that Zimmerman was a wannabe cop. And my response to that is, well, you know, I'd rather aspire to be a cop than aspire to be a thug.
Tell me about it.
You know, I mean, the other thing too is there was 6 women on that jury. You know, now
Right.
Women are much more compassionate than men for the most part. A lot of those women were mothers. They listened to every shred of evidence in this trial. You know, I didn't. I had to work. I wasn't listening to the trial 24 hours a day. You know, so I'm going to trust that they got it right. Dino, I mean, and you know, so all of a sudden now, I guess all 6 of them are racist too. Dino.
Of course they are. They should, according to Roddy White, they should have gone home, and each one of those women should have shot themselves in the head, or hung themselves, or done something to take their own life after they rendered that decision.
Right, and and just let's look at the situation. Dino, if you saw me walking through the neighborhood, no matter what color I was, and you were the watch person, and you were following me, and I noticed you were following me, okay?
Right.
I have a right to go up to you and say, why are you following me?
Absolutely.
I don't have the right to go up and start pounding on you, Dino.
Right.
And nobody wants to talk about that.
No, of course, because that's Keith. That's
the car or not.
That's inconvenient. Don't you understand? It doesn't lend itself to people just wanting to think this was about a bag of Skittles and a 17-year-old kid going out in the rain. That's all that they think.
And even another thing they don't want to talk about, they make it sound like Zimmerman was this tough guy. They had his trainer on there. He said the guy was soft. He was weak. You know,
right?
I mean, this kid towered over him.
Towered over him. Yes.
Trayvon
Martin was a good 5 or 6 inches taller than George Zimmerman. Yes.
Yeah, I just it's kind of like this N-word, Dino. It depends on who's saying it, and I guess it depends on who you're killing too. I guess it's okay if blacks kill blacks. You know, it's just nutty. You know, this media.
No, it's okay if blacks kill blacks. Black kills whites. Blacks kill Hispanics. Whites kill blacks. Alleged whites kill blacks. No, and let me make myself clear again, just so you understand where I'm coming from. My kid is visiting a community. He's there as a guest. He's walking home. This place has been hit up repeatedly. And the community watchmen, 1, 2, 7 of them, I don't care how many, want to know who he is and what he's doing there? In my community that's been robbed repeatedly, and my kid turns violent? My friends, if he wasn't shot dead by the people that he turned violent against, let me tell you something. By the time I got him back into the house, I'd be bouncing him off the 4 fucking walls. He'd never answer anyone like that again. Okay? That's the harsh truth right there. I don't know how you would deal with your own kid. But my kid shows that kind of disrespect to somebody and then goes after them physically? He's going to wish that the community organizer was still trying to either protect himself or doing something else to him, because the last person he'd want to deal with would be me. Mike is in Vancouver, Canada. He's on the Dino Costa Show. Hi, Mike.
Hey, Dino. How you doing, bud?
Hi.
Yeah, man. You know what? You couldn't be more on point with this Zimmerman thing and what you do to your own kid. Like, I'll be honest. I got bounced off the walls a few times growing up, and you know what? I deserved every single one of them. That's not really what I called to talk to you about, but I will say something else to this point. I was listening to Mike and Mike this morning, and they had Victor Cruz on too, and I really don't think that Mike and Dan Patrick, like, this is actually their views. I think there's obviously an agenda with ESPN, and they can't. I don't know if they do think this or not. That's not really my point. But there's no real opinion, like no human thoughts from them, and that's why I think will make things different. And I want to give Sirius a heck of a lot of credit for keeping you on, because you know as well as I do that ESPN wouldn't have your brand of radio and all that other shit. And this is why I listen. This is why I have a radio. And I love what you're doing. Keep it up and keep telling us what you're thinking. I know everyone says that to you, but it's the truth. And these other guys, they got no opinions. I know what they're going to say before they even say it.
Yep. No, I thank you. I thank you for your call, Michael. I do. You want all that the politically correct bullshit? Go listen to somebody else. I'm going to tell you what's on my mind. I'm going to tell you what I think is the truth as I see it. And again, I don't know how you deal with your kid. They got mouthy with someone in a community that you lived in that had been jacked up repeatedly. I don't know what you would have done, okay? But my kid, I would have dealt with him. I would have dealt with him. Believe me, you. Believe me, you. You think I'm like some of you? Some of you parents who let your kids talk to people whatever way they want to talk to them? Huh? Disrespect people, don't hold doors, don't say thank you, don't say please, don't say you're welcome. Talk to people however the hell they want? Playing the role of a badass, wannabe thug? The hell out of here. I don't know what world you're raising your kid in. Curtis is in Roanoke, Virginia, USA. Hi, Curtis.
Hey, what's up? How are you?
Hi.
I'm actually not, well, kind of, sort of. On the whole Zimmerman and Hernandez thing, I think the biggest problem is how long did it take before the cops went into Zimmerman's house and arrested him, and then you see how fast it took for.
But they never they never arrested Zimmerman.
Exactly. That's the problem there.
Why is it a problem?
Okay, have Aaron Hernandez been guilty? Has a judge say he's guilty?
No, but he was brought up on murder charges.
And didn't Zimmerman kill someone?
Yeah, but he was not, in the opinion of the police and the people that they interviewed, the eyewitness accounts and everything that they were able to consider, Zimmerman shot Trayvon Martin in self-defense.
Okay, and I understand the whole self-defense thing, so I'm not going to get on you about that. I am an African-American myself, and I do think that the media did overplay it. You know what I'm saying? They did push, and they dug, and they dug, and dug, and made it nationwide. But that was just my thing. I don't think that I'm not going to go into the whole Zimmerman and
Yeah, okay, thanks. Thanks for your call. Justin is in Detroit, Michigan. Hi, Justin.
Hey, Dino, how's it going?
Hi.
Hey, so I haven't heard people talk about this aspect. People keep saying that, Zimmerman got away. Zimmerman is got away scot-free, and Zimmerman won. And my feeling is, what exactly did he win? And this is a genuine question because I obviously don't know the answer to it. What do you think is going to happen to George Zimmerman going forward? I don't think he's going to be considered very employable because he's, at least in a large part.
I think George Zimmerman is going to be okay in the end. I mean, listen, there were people when O.J. Somehow was able to get off of murdering his wife and Ron Goldman, and all we heard were people saying that, within 12 months or 2 years or whatever, somebody's going to take out O.J. and, he's going to get what's coming to it. That never happened. Listen, a lot of people like to talk. Hostilities are raised. Tensions are raised. People get their emotions get the best of them, but I believe that George Zimmerman at some point will be able to live a normal and peaceful life someday. I think that it's been overblown that he's going to have to leave the country and so on and so forth. I think he's going to have to keep it on the down low for a while, but I think that eventually he's going to be able to live his life, and hopefully that's going to be the case. X Games champion Travis Pastrana has leaped from an airplane without a parachute. Now, I've been reading this copy for the last couple of weeks. If anybody knows about this guy leaping from an airplane without a parachute, will you please tell me how he did this? Because it seems impossible to me. Anyway, that's what the copy says. He leaped from an airplane without a parachute. And it goes on to say that if you think that's crazy, here's something else Travis has done. He once jumped his rally car 269 feet onto a barge. Now, of the two, I would say leaping out of an airplane without a parachute and living to tell about it beats the shit out of, jumping his rally car 269 feet onto a damn barge. I mean, that's like child's play compared to jumping out of an airplane without a parachute. But what's Travis's latest feat? Well, Travis races his 650 horsepower Roush Fenway stock car using a racing formulation of Valvoline motor oil with next-gen technology. You heard me right. Made with 50% recycled oil, Valvoline Next Gen is specifically designed for today's hotter-running engines. Looks like recycling just got badass. To see more from Travis and Valvoline Next Gen, go to youtube.com/Valvoline with 50% recycled oil. Better for the environment and great for your engine. That's Valvoline with Next Gen technology. It's 100%, what's it say here? Yeah, 100% satisfaction guaranteed. Now that's badass. There you go. There you go. Anthony's in Denver, Colorado, USA. Hi, Anthony.
Dino, how you doing tonight?
Hi.
My parents come off the boat, and I remember when I was growing up, if I did something wrong, I'd first catch a beating from wherever I was at, and then my parents would beat me. But how many parents tell their kids nowadays before they leave the house, if you do something wrong, God forbid, you better change your last name?
Anthony, let me ask you something. Anthony, how old are you?
40.
You got kids? Do you have kids?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I have an 11-year-old son, and I'll treat him the same way.
Okay, so your 11-year-old son in 6 years is 17. You're living in your neighborhood there in Denver. You guys have been burglarized and so on, so you all start a neighborhood watch. Your son is walking somewhere at night in the neighborhood, and some guy walks up to him and says, hey, I live in this area here. Who are you? What are you doing? And your son throws the guy a beating. What's going to happen to your kid when he gets home?
Dude, I'll beat the shit out of him, to be honest with you. He told me to shut up the other day. I slapped him across the face in public. You don't act that way. He was only joking, and I didn't know he was joking with me. And I whacked him. But, I mean, I'm not going to beat my son up every day. He's a straight-A student, and he's a good kid. But
you know what I mean, though.
He deserves a beating. You got to beat kids still in society. I mean, nothing's changed from when we were 12 years old to a 17-year-old kid now.
Nope. I'm the same way. I mean, look, I didn't have much of a relationship with my dad when I was growing up, but I did something to embarrass him outside that house. Baby, if it ever got back, that would fear. I'd walk on eggshells thinking that the news was going to get back to him. I'd walk on eggshells. Mike is in Aiken, South Carolina. Hi, Mike.
Hey, Dano.
What's shaking in Aiken?
Well, this is my point. Bounce him off the wall like a damn basketball. My boy's 17. He can still remember me saying, move your hand. Move your damn hand. All right? I quit. I didn't have to spank him since he's been 7 because I wore that ass out between 2 and 7. So if you got to bounce him off the wall, bounce him like a damn basketball.
You believe these people, Mike, asking me what I would do if that was my kid who pulled that shit that Trayvon Martin pulled in that during that night and went after a guy that's watching the damn neighborhood because they had been repeatedly robbed and homes broken into? If that was my kid, I would have bounced him off every wall inside the house.
Well, mine's 17, and if he came home like that, I'd say, first of all, if you're not doing anything wrong, don't act like it. That's what my granddad used to tell me, Dino. If you're not doing anything wrong, then don't act like it. And listen, this pouncy, how much dumbass per ouncey do these two guys got?
Wow.
Kidding me?
Man.
Free
Hernandez. And, Mike, the NFL has not said anything.
I can't believe my coach of the Dolphins isn't calling him up and saying, are you a moron?
Well, you know what? The chances are that Philbin, knowing Joe Philbin the way that we know Joe Philbin, the good man he is, he probably did call Pouncey and probably read him the riot act on the telephone, but we're never going to know about that. Where's Goodell? Where is Goodell?
Goodell's a coward. You know that better than anybody. I mean, he's a coward. And just all these tweets. First of all, people, do you think these NFL players give a rat's ass about this Martin kid? Seriously. Do any of you, all these millionaires, really care? I mean, they don't. They just want to sound off and make themselves sound good, and it's all straight bullshit, Dino.
I know it.
God bless you, Dino.
Have a good night.
Brother.
Thanks. That's Mike in Aiken, South Carolina. Charlotte, North Carolina is next. Here's Joe. Hi, Joe.
Dino, finally a show that's not politically correct. Watching CNN, headline news, all that stuff about, how Trayvon Martin is on the same scale as Martin Luther King and Emmett Till. First of all, if he wasn't dead, he'd be charged with an assault. Nobody talks about that. You know, bottom line, he beat the heck out of this kid.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just so sick of the politically correct of everything. Listen to Sharpton. Listen to Jesse Jackson. First of all, those 5 Duke lacrosse boys in Raleigh, North Carolina. Sharpton's all on them. If they're found innocent, no apology from Sharpton. I'm just so sick of
No apology from anybody. Where's Victor Cruz apologizing to Zimmerman, by the way? He said he apologized to this one and that one and the kids and the people who look up to him. What about the apology to Zimmerman? You only told the hood to go and take out Zimmerman. What about an apology to him? Victor, you coward punk. Robert's in Houston, Texas. Hi, Robert.
Hey, Dino.
Hi, Robert.
Robert again. How you doing tonight?
Good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing just fine. You know, if some of these callers or listeners would educate themselves or even take the time to examine the whole dialogue of the case, they would see that it was clearly cut and dry. It's on the prosecution to present their case. It's not the defense's obligation to prove he's innocent. It's the prosecution's job to prove he's guilty. You're innocent till proven guilty. Prosecution did a trash job. That's what it is. The man has a right to defend himself. They run up on me, they'll find that out also. Secondly, everyone should go and look at Antonio Santiago. Antonio Santiago in March of this year was I think he's like a 3
I
month
mentioned, Robert, I mentioned that. I in fact, it was something that got me very emotional before when I was talking about that. I saw the picture. I've never seen his picture before, and you want to talk about a horrible situation, a little infant like that, and man, I don't even want to talk about it.
Okay, we'll leave that alone. But just I want to say the name one more time. All you people that think you have a leg to stand on about all this injustice, go look for Antonio Santiago. Google it.
Google this is a good point. Google Antonio Santiago. Take a look into that child's face. Go ahead. Do that. Big Al in White Plains, New York, is on the Dino Costa Show. Hi, Al.
Heartbreak coming, so I'll be brief. Hope you're doing well and staying cool. But this is just an example of why, no matter what anybody says, despite a media circus, despite the horror shows of those who want to come out and scream bloody murder before they know all the facts, that this is the best system in the world. We have the best and fairest system of justice, and this is proof once again that when it's allowed to take its course, the system works. The prosecution put forth their case. It wasn't enough to convince a jury. There were mothers on that jury who I'm sure were very sympathetic to a teenager being killed, but there wasn't enough there to convict this guy who probably now is going to have to face a civil case. So he's probably not out of the woods yet and is not going to be able to live a normal life for quite a while. And I don't know what the results of a civil case will be because, as you know, it's a different level of proof. But the bottom line is, as I always say, that despite the way it gets attacked time and time again, we still have the best system. And it's the best system in the best country in the world, and it worked again. Have a
Thanks,
good night.
Al. Appreciate it. Zimmerman, Charlotte, North Carolina. Chris. Hi, Chris.
Hey, Dina, how's it going?
Hi.
Long-time caller. I'm going to disagree with everybody right now. Zimmerman, this big stand your ground is the big case, stand your ground. How come the kid couldn't stand his ground? It was just, to me, it was an altercation. He picked the fight. The kid whipped his ass. So when the kid got up to walk away, he shot him because he was embarrassed. That's all there is to it.
Well, that's the way you see it. I don't see it that way. Travis is in Alberta, Canada. Hi, Travis.
Hey, Dino, how are you doing today?
Travis, go ahead.
Good. Hey, Dino, I love your show. I love listening to you. You know what? You need to talk about more like these things and stuff about sports and all these other issues because that's when your show is at its freaking best. And I love it when you're talking about how you're better than all those guys. I kind of get sick of it, but I still listen to your show because I love listening to this kind of thing. I'm not going to say who's guilty, who's innocent. I'm not going to judge anybody. All I want to say is that the guys Pouncey's wearing those freaking hats and putting that shit on Twitter makes them look like the biggest ass clowns I've ever seen in my entire life, and it's a goddamn embarrassment. That's all I wanted to say, Dino. Love
Thank you for your call. I appreciate it. Kaplan, great job. Milan Nevedomsky as well. All of you across North America and around the world for listening to a Monday, July the 15th, 2013 rendition, an episode of the Dino Costa Show. Please stay tuned for Bill Leckus. The mighty Bill Leckus is next. He's got a 3-hour edition of the Nightcap. And if you're living, make sure you live in Western. See you tomorrow.